everybody, JT Sports, and I'm back with you guys with another video. I'm here with my second mock draft, my full first round NFL mock draft 2.0 with trades. Now, a lot of people, they didn't really like my first one, but I assure you guys that this one is going to be a lot better than the first one. So before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more NFL content, and let's get into it. So with the number one overall pick, we have the Arizona Cardinals. I have them selecting quarterback Kyler Murray. And I'm expecting them any day now to trade Josh Rosen. I believe that at this point, they are locked and sold on Kyler Murray. And I'm expecting Josh Rosen to be traded in a couple of days or maybe 2 weeks prior to the start of the NFL draft. Now, with the second overall pick, I have the San Francisco 49ers selecting edge rusher Nick Bosa. I don't believe Nick Bosa is the best defensive player in this draft, but I feel that he is the most natural pass rusher. And a lot of people are saying that he hasn't even played in the NFL yet and that he's already better than his brother. And the San Francisco 49ers pairing him up with Dee Ford, Solomon Thomas, and DeForest Buckner. If DeForest Buckner can develop a little bit more as a pass rusher, they will have the best defensive line in football for the next 5 to 7 years. With the third overall pick, I have the New York Jets selecting edge rusher Josh Allen. Josh Allen, if the New York Jets are looking to move to a 3-4 scheme, he will be a good fit there. He is not Khalil Mack, but he is the closest thing that we will ever have to Khalil Mack. This guy, he's always around the ball. He's a game wrecker. He can pass rush. He can cover running backs and tight ends. This guy is the best defensive player in the draft because how versatile he is, and he can do every single thing, and that's why I had the New York Jets taking him at number 3. With the fourth overall pick, I have the Oakland Raiders selecting defensive tackle Quinnen Williams out of the University of Alabama. The Oakland Raiders, they need to draft almost every single position on defense, and why not start on the interior selecting defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, who has Aaron Donald comparisons. This guy, he can stop the run, he can rush the quarterback, and this would be a pretty good pick right here for the Oakland Raiders to start solidifying that defense and starting up front in the trenches. With the fifth overall pick, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting edge rusher MONTEZ Sweat. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they need some pass rushers, and they lost Quan Alexander. They have a lot of holes in the secondary, but first, solving a pass rusher or getting the pass rusher will solve a lot of those problems. A guy who can rush the quarterback, get to the quarterback really fast, and limited how many times or how long the cornerback has to cover the opposing wide receiver. MONTEZ Sweat, he's fast. This guy ran a 4.42 at the NFL Combine. And I believe this would be a very good pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With the sixth overall pick, I have the New York Giants selecting offensive tackle JAWAAN Taylor out of the University of Florida. I don't believe that they are going to select DWAYNE Haskins. I believe that they're going to select the quarterback in next year's draft. I believe that they feel that Eli Manning will be a solid starter, or at least be good enough to be the starter for the whole entire 2019 season. So why not focus on beefing up that offensive line, and why not start by selecting the best offensive lineman in this draft, JAWAAN Taylor out of the University of Florida. With the seventh overall pick, I had the Jacksonville Jaguars also going offensive line as well, selecting Cody Ford out of the University of Oklahoma. Big guy, he can play offensive tackle and offensive guard. Jacksonville Jaguars need to help make that offensive line a lot better for Nick Foles and Leonard Fournette, because that offensive line was not very good last year. So selecting Cody Ford, that could help make that offensive line a lot better than what it is. With the eighth overall pick, I had the Detroit Lions select their linebacker Devin White. The Detroit Lions desperately need a linebacker. That has been their main Achilles heel. They need a guy who can stop the run and defend the pass. And Devin White, he can do that. He's very fast. He's very athletic. He reminds me a lot of Roquan Smith from last year. Very fast, athletic guy. And he would be a good pick for the Detroit Lions at number 8. First trade of the NFL draft. In my mock draft, I have the Washington Redskins trading up from the 15th overall pick to the 9th overall pick with the Buffalo Bills. And I have them selecting quarterback DWAYNE Haskins. Now, the Washington Redskins are still looking for a quarterback despite having Case Keenum and Colt McCoy. DWAYNE Haskins, he's that franchise guy. He's a great passer, has a great arm. He's very accurate, not much of a runner, but I mean, he'll get the job done. And I believe at this spot right here, it would be too good of an opportunity for the Washington Redskins to not trade up and snag probably one of the best quarterbacks of this draft class. So I have the Washington Redskins selecting DWAYNE Haskins with the 9th overall pick. With the 10th overall pick, I had the Denver Broncos selecting cornerback Greedy Williams out of the University of LSU. Probably the most balanced corner in this draft. He can play zone, he can play man. My only problem with him is that he's still a little bit scrawny. He's only 181 pounds, but I feel the Denver Broncos, they'll be able to beef him up in that weight room. And I feel he's not the best corner in this draft, but since he's the most balanced corner in this draft and can do a lot of everything, the Denver Broncos, they should just go ahead and draft him with the 10th overall pick. A lot of people feel they should go quarterback right here, but I feel they should go with corner, a team need, because we don't know if Chris Harris is going to return with the Denver Broncos after next season because he is in the contract year. And also they lost Bradley Roby, so they need somebody who can fill that hole at the cornerback position. With the 11th overall pick, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting offensive tackle Greg Little. The Cincinnati Bengals, they have a lot of holes on their defense, and they have holes on their offensive line. They need to keep Andy Dalton protected, and you can start by drafting an offensive tackle Greg Little out of Ole Miss. With the 12th overall pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting linebacker Devin Bush. Now, it's a lot of people that are saying that the Green Bay Packers might trade up in the top 10 so they can get Devin White. But I feel Devin Bush is a little bit similar to Devin White in terms of what they're able to do. Very fast, very athletic guys who can run sideline to sideline. Devin Bush would be a good pick for the Green Bay Packers, who are looking for another inside linebacker, and they're trying to win now, so this would be a very good pick here for the Green Bay Packers at number 12. At number 13, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting their franchise quarterback, Drew Lock. He has a rocket for an arm. He's not the most accurate. He has a lot of things that he needs to clean up, but I feel he could sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick for a couple of weeks or maybe a whole entire year, learn from him, and then become the starter, and I feel he would be a good pick for the Miami Dolphins. With the 14th overall pick, I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting edge rusher out of the University of Michigan, Rashawn Gary. Pair him up with Vic Beasley. That would be a pretty good pass rushing duo. Plus, he's going to have Deion Jones and a bunch of other good guys on the Atlanta defense back. A team that suffered from injuries after injuries all season. Now they get a chance to add a gem and Rashawn Gary, who probably is the most least talked about player in this draft when it comes to all these edge rushers, but I feel Rashawn Gary will be a pretty good player in this league, and I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting him at number 14. At number 15, I have the Buffalo Bills. They made that trade with the Washington Redskins. Have them selecting wide receiver DK Metcalf out of Ole Miss. This guy is a freak. He's like a Calvin Johnson or a Josh Gordon kind of creature. This guy's like somebody who you create on Madden. You just beef up his stats, give him insane height, insane speed. This guy would be a great addition for the Buffalo Bills, who desperately need a number one wide receiver and a reliable target for Josh Allen. And this guy, DK Metcalf, he would desperately and definitely be that for the Buffalo Bills. At number 16th, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting defensive tackle Ed Oliver. Yeah, they have some holes that they need to fill in the secondary also, but I feel selecting defensive tackle Ed Oliver was solidify that defensive line back to what it used to be. Pair him up with Starr, and that Carolina Panthers defense will be very, very good with Ed Oliver. I mean, this guy is very fast, very explosive. He can get off blocks and stop the run. He can sack the quarterback. So he would be a very, very good pick for the Carolina Panthers at number 16. At number 17th, I have the New York Giants going offensive line again. Have them selecting an offensive guard out of the University of Alabama, Jonah Williams. Now they already have Jawan Taylor, and they have Kevin Zeitler. Now you have Jonah Williams. That's pretty much a top 10 offensive line. So your offensive line, boom, that's fixed. Don't even need a quarterback now. Now you can wait till next year to select the quarterback in next year's draft because you already have a pretty good offensive line that's probably going to be top 10. And Saquon Barkley is probably going to have a monster season. With the 18th overall pick, I have another offensive lineman coming off the board. I have Andre Dillard being drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings, they need to draft offensive linemen heavy, and I mean their offensive line is so freaking terrible, mostly due to the fact that they overpaid Kirk Cousins, who didn't really perform that well this year. Well, he didn't perform great, but he didn't perform terrible. He did what everybody thought he would be in the Minnesota Vikings. They underachieved. They didn't make it to the playoffs. And a large reason why was because they couldn't really get anything going in the ground game with Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins really had to carry the load, and he wasn't able to do that. So they need to start by cleaning up that offensive line. Their offensive line has a lot of holes, but you can start at offensive tackle with Andre Dillard. He's probably the best pass blocker offensive lineman in this draft. And I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting him with the 18th overall pick. At number 19th, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting wide receiver Marquise Brown. Pair him up with Corey Davis. You already have Adam Humphries. Now you're going to have Marquise Brown. Now Marcus Mariota probably has the best wide receiving core he has had since his rookie season. Coming into the league, Marquise Brown, he's a deep threat. He's a guy that can make big plays. He's not a guy who's going to convert those third downs or move. He's not a possession wide receiver. He's more of a big play wide receiver. And I have the Tennessee Titans selecting him with the 19th overall pick. At number 20, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. I have them selecting wide receiver A.J. Brown. Yeah, a lot of people might be like they need to go corner, but they already cleaned that up in free agency by picking up Steven Nelson. And they picked up Mark Barron, the linebacker who formerly played for the LA Rams. So now they need to focus on the offensive side of the ball, finding a playmaker who can try to replace Antonio Brown. And I have them selecting wide receiver A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss. With the 21st overall pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks selecting Clelin Ferrell. Nobody knows the status of Frank Clark, if he's going to play this year or if he's even going to be a Seattle Seahawks next year because of his current contract dispute. So why not go ahead and select edge rusher Clelin Ferrell, who could come in and fill the void. And if Frank Clark does come back and does resign for the Seattle Seahawks or signs his franchise tag, then that would be a pretty good pass rushing tandem that the Seattle Seahawks will have there. With the 22nd overall pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles trading up with the Baltimore Ravens to select the best corner in the NFL draft, in my opinion, DeAndre Baker. It's a no-brainer here. The Philadelphia Eagles, they desperately need help at the cornerback position. These guys had so many injuries, deplete that secondary last year. So now they need to add a lot more depth there. And why not add the best cornerback in this year's draft, DeAndre Baker, who has only allowed one touchdown during his time playing for the University of Georgia and hasn't allowed a single touchdown in 2 years. With the 23rd overall pick, I have the Houston Texans selecting offensive tackle Dalton Reiser out of Kansas State. Houston's another one of those teams, just like the Minnesota Vikings, have a terrible offensive line, and they need to keep Deshaun Watson protected, or else he's going to end up like how Andrew Luck was a couple of seasons ago, battling injuries. With the 24th overall pick, I have the Oakland Raiders selecting cornerback Byron Murphy out of the University of Washington. The Oakland Raiders have a bunch of holes that they need to fill on that defense side of the ball. They already picked up Ed Oliver in my mock draft, and now they need to focus on the secondary, selecting Byron Murphy, who is a pretty good corner. He's an athletic freak, and the Oakland Raiders need to shore that secondary, make it respectable so people aren't flying left and right, getting big plays there, getting big plays here. So I have them selecting Byron Murphy with a 24th overall pick. With the 25th overall pick, in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles earlier, I have them selecting linebacker Mack Wilson. The Baltimore Ravens, they lost C.J. Mosley, one of the best linebackers in the NFL, if not one of the best linebacker to the New York Jets in free agency. They need to find a replacement for him quick, fast, and in a hurry, or that defense is going to have some major problems next year. So having to select a linebacker out of the University of Alabama, Michael Wilson. A little bit undersized, but he's pretty good in stopping the run, pretty good in coverage. But I feel he needs to get better as a pass rusher. But if he's able to get better as a pass rusher, the Baltimore Ravens will have a steal here, and they will have a future Pro Bowler in Michael Wilson. With a 26th overall pick, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting defensive lineman, defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence. Not an elite pass rusher. He's a pretty solid pass rusher, but he's very good in stopping the run. He can clog up those holes. I'm going to call him the Leonard Fournette stopper because that's what he's going to do. He's going to clog up those A and B gaps, stop the run, and that's what the Indianapolis Colts need. With the 27th overall pick, I have the Oakland Raiders selecting Jonathan Abram. They need somebody who can make wide receivers scared to go across the middle. Jonathan Abram, that's what he's going to do. He's a big hitter. He's going to knock the ball loose. He's a ball hawk, and he will be a good pick for the Oakland Raiders at the 27th spot. At 28th, I have the LA Chargers going defensive line, selecting Christian Wilkins, who is an athletic freak, beefing up that defensive line a little bit more, which was a problem because they struggled to stop the run against good teams like the Steelers, like the Kansas City Chiefs, and against the New England Patriots, who absolutely shredded them on the ground. Selecting Christian Wilkins, he can get after the quarterback and he can stop the run. He's super athletic, and I have him being drafted by the LA Chargers with the 28th overall pick. With the 29th overall pick, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out of the University of Florida. Probably the most balanced safety in his draft class. He can cover and can stop the run. He's a pretty good tackler, and he would be a pretty good replacement for Eric Berry alongside Tyrann Mathieu. With a 30th overall pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting tight end T.J. Hawkinson out of Iowa University. He's regarded as the best tight end in his draft class by mostly everybody. The Green Bay Packers, they need a solid tight end since Jimmy Graham is declining and he hasn't been what a lot of people thought he would be. So T.J. Hawkinson would be that playmaker and safety blanket for Aaron Rodgers over the middle that he needs. With the 31st overall pick, I have the LA Rams selecting defensive tackle Jerry Tillery. This guy is very, very underrated. Probably the most underrated player in this whole entire draft class. He had 10.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks when he was playing for Notre Dame this past season, and he would be a good replacement for Ndamukong Suh. With the last pick of my NFL mock draft, I have the New England Patriots selecting tight end Noah Fant. We still don't know if Rob Gronkowski is going to play this season. I'm guessing that he will come back and play, but I'm guessing that this will be his last season. So go ahead and draft your replacement for Rob Gronkowski when he does decide to hang up the cleats and Noah Fant. And that's it for my 2019 full first round mock draft. So you guys let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.